The essence of our entire industry is the moving image, or rather the illusion of movement. And in this episode, we concentrate on the wizards who actually make this happen. So welcome to Director's Cut Crew Sessions, the Animators.
Hello, and my name is Dave Osborne, and welcome to the Director's Cut, the Crew Sessions. And I've been directing for over 30 plus years, and I'm known for shows like Super Team 4 and Lego's Nexo Knights and Mr. Bean, the animated TV series.
And I am Stuart Evans. I've been directing for about 26 years, CG, 2D shows and features and shorts and ads. Biggest show that I've done is Bob the Builder. And I continue to search for the next huge project. We welcome today 3 star animators who are going to give us an idea into what they do, how they do it, why they do it, and all points in between.
Welcome, Beatriz Antunes, Christian Chessell, and Gareth Axford. Welcome, and thanks for joining us. Now, tell us a little bit about how you got into animation and your careers.
I am Gareth Axford. I am an animator of some 25 years standing from the moment when I stepped into a studio with Mr. Stuart Evans directing me. These days I work mainly in marketing and explainer videos and things like that rather than TV. It's been a while since the TV days, but carry on doing that kind of thing. A bit of illustration here and there as well.
Yeah, hello. So my name is Beatriz. I'm a 2D animator and designer. I have not been working for 25 years. I've been working for 4 years, which is a big difference. But my first job in the industry was at Moonbug, where I met Stuart. And I was working there firstly as a creative assistant and then moved on to being a designer on shows like Gecko's Garage, Cocomelon, and many others. I then moved on to working at Studio AKA as an animator on Hey Dougie. And recently I've just gone freelance, and that's been a very interesting experience, both really stressful and really exciting. And I've been doing lots of 2D hand-drawn projects.
So I'm Christian. I've been doing this now for 30 years. I first started in Telemanage, where I met Dave Osborne, who was my boss. And I've been doing this for pretty much 30 years, as I say, and doing preschool shows. Biggest one probably for me was Peppa Pig. I met Stu at Collingwood's, where I was working on a secret show with him on there, and that was a good laugh. And
You worked on a remarkable television series, Christian. You worked on Wiggly Park, and that's a very remarkable television series because it was one of the first television series ever to be made using vector-based animation.
Yeah, no, I remember sort of like being very nervous about that job because I've never worked on computers at that point. But it was brilliant because it sort of made me look more at what computers could do. I started looking around at what 3D was being done, and whilst it was all looking a bit smooth and a bit lifeless, you could see where it was going. And then it was great, and I just suddenly thought I've got to stay with computers because I just like it. I loved it.
Well, that actually takes us on to our first organised, properly written down and everything question, which is, do you prefer to animate traditionally, as in hand-drawn, or in an animating program, assuming there's ever a choice? But which would you rather do?
Most of my stuff these days is very much After Effects based, rigging up characters and things in there. But yeah, this is my favorite thing. Getting TV paint fired up and getting pen on screen. Not paper these days. There's no white box in easy reach. It's still about, but it's not in easy reach. But yeah.
Yeah, so I actually have mostly been working digitally. Most of my jobs have been digital lately. And I actually started with hand-drawn animation. So it's always been a bit of a battle, kind of figuring out which one I like the most. But I think I actually enjoy the balance of leaving 2D hand-drawn for my personal projects and working on professional projects digitally. Well, it's really nice to separate the two of them. But I do think hand-drawn gives me more enjoyment. like I do have a lot more fun just going through the process of figuring it out by hand away from computers, or just like if I'm even drawing on my tablet frame by frame, I do find that a bit more challenging, and so a lot more fun.
I've got to say, I think I prefer working on computers. Over the years, I've worked on 2D software and 3D software, and I like the challenges that both bring to any project. When I was at college, I didn't do drawn animation. I did cutout, like because I was inspired by Terry Gilliam and people like that. I was never massively comfortable with drawn animation, as Dave Osborne will probably tell you. and, but it was, I just felt more comfortable with computers. I just liked the immediacy of it.
So, which programs do you prefer? I mean, which ones do you like working on? I know there's a whole host of them, things like Cell Action and I remember it used to be called Flash, but it's called something else these days, isn't it? Animate and Harmony. Gareth, what do you prefer to work on when you mentioned After Effects? What do you like working with?
If we're talking like favorite, then it is TV Paint. That is proper drawn frame by frame heritage animation. It's that's a glorious program. I love it. After Effects, I use most of the time. I don't love After Effects. I love joysticks and sliders, which is a plugin for After Effects. I can spend hours having rigged up a face on that, just wiggling it about. That's brilliant fun. And Moho I'm getting into now, and that looks like it has that same level of enjoyment that joysticks and sliders does.
No, I was going to say Christian, but Beatrice.
Yeah, I agree with Gareth. TV Paint all the way. That's my favorite. Both for like personal projects or professional projects. Lately, I've really been enjoying working with Procreate, both the original Procreate and Procreate Dreams, just because that's a really like, flexible software. I could draw anywhere. I could bring it out the house. I don't need to be at my desk as I always am. I can just have a little bit more freedom with it. It's a bit more limiting, so I usually use it to do shorter animations or little loops or anything that doesn't have any crazy layering or anything like that. I find it super useful for that. But for jobs, I actually, on Dougie, we were using Animate, and that's something that when I was at university, I really didn't like it at all, and I kind of feared it a little bit. So when I actually got that job and I found out that the software was Animate, I was like, oh. But thankfully, I had a team that like really helped me transition from a software like TV Paint onto Animate, and I now don't fear it anymore. I kind of am friends with it now, and I do enjoy working on it. And lately I've been trying to get into Blender a little bit. My computer crashes every time I use it, so I think it might be a sign for me not to go into 3D. But I'm giving it a go just to see how it is.
And Christian?
For the longest part, I've been using Cell Action 2D. I first started it with Mark Baker on his show The Big Nights with Neville Astley as well. And that's, I've been doing that for, I think nearly 28 years. Been on that solidly. I love it. It's one of those softwares that absolutely suits me down to the ground. It's like a cutout software, and I've enjoyed doing a lot of pilots on it. I think I enjoy doing pilots a lot more than series because it's just much more fun to just play around. But over the years, like I say, I've been curious about 3D. So, as Beatrice said, I've had a go at Blender. I kind of really like that too. I'd like to get more work using it. And it's nice to see that some studios are starting to use it now. I'm still, deeply entrenched in 2D, but every now and then I like to have a bit of fun with 3.
Buttons are there to be pressed and pencils are to be picked up, but what do you feel is the essence of a good animator, Gareth?
Wait, timing, just senses of those two things together. Well, you can't go far wrong. It doesn't matter what software you're using, doesn't matter what medium, doesn't matter if you're working in clay. If you can get that conveyance of the weight of an object and comic timing, then you're going to be there. It's the be all and end all of it. It's not 12 principles for me, it's 2.
Again, I'm kind of going to copy your answer there because I was thinking that for me, one thing that I really struggled with at the beginning was getting timing and spacing right. That was just something I saw that something wasn't quite right with my work and I couldn't figure out what it was. And even reading all the books and doing all different sorts of courses, I just couldn't figure out what it was. And then I spoke to my animation supervisor at the time, showed him my work, talked him through my, the issues I was going through and something I couldn't pick up on, like what it was. And he pointed out that it was timing that I just couldn't get right. So when I nailed it, when I actually figured out what timing was and how to get it right, it all just clicked and it just made sense. So I think for me, that's something that if you're starting out with animation, you should really spend some time trying to figure out, because it does make a lot of difference.
I could also agree completely and do that timing, waiting all of that. But for me, I remember the first thing I'd do was learn how to make a good cup of tea and do a good round of tea. And you learned hard who your friends were in the kitchen. But I think the thing I learned, especially at Telemed with some of the more senior animators who were there, I learned a lot about character acting, and I loved that. And I think for me, getting good gestures and getting good facial expressions, that was quite key to me. Reacting to certain events or moments and emotions. Just to try and get that sense. Not even if you didn't have to say a word, but just to get the sort of context of what the emotion was coming through for the character. I loved all that. And for me, that's quite important to me anyway.
Do you think it's important to be a good draftsperson, or is it overall performance in the animation that counts? Gareth, what do you think about that?
As a drawer, I love seeing good drawing skills, and it is incredibly important to me. But I was also told that I couldn't draw when I went to college. So, and I don't think I've improved that much, but yeah, I think it is incredibly important, but less and less so. I just think it doesn't hurt anyone to take some life drawing classes. It doesn't hurt to work that muscle a little bit by just getting a pencil and paper occasionally, and it's free. And it is important to me to do it that way.
And Beatriz, what about you? You talked about doing some hand-drawn animation and things like Procreate, which I know you can draw into.
Drawing isn't the main thing, and I would say performance actually for me wouldn't be the main thing either. I think storytelling really is the number one thing for me, and that's something that I've been told time and time again is whatever you're doing, whether that's a short film or just a GIF or a loop animation, I think trying to convey a story is the main thing to focus on before anything else. And from then on, I think performance will come naturally, and all the other aspects will come naturally after that too. I don't think you necessarily have to be a good drawer in order for that to happen. I think if you can convey what you're trying to tell in an effective way, everything else will come through.
And Christian,
I like the fact that you can draw. You don't do it much nowadays, but just to do little thumbnail doodles, just to sort of give you an idea of what pose you want to put it into. Amount of post-it notes I've had just scattered to the wind of just loads of little yellow pages of all little doodles all over the place. And the thing I quite like now is that a lot of video software, you can draw onto the videos. So if it's not working right, you can just quickly doodle on something, and that will help you, process a better performance anyway.
So, as directors, we will have to probably brief the animators if we're decent at our job. So what do you look for in a good animation brief from a director?
Succinct, detailed would be. They don't necessarily work together. Certainly the succinct and detailed bit, but yeah, I like to know exactly what's in your mind before I start going off somewhere else entirely and then coming back and going, here we are. No, not that. But yeah, those three things: clear, succinct, detailed.
Beatrice, what about you, Beatrice? I mean, I know with television, I'm just thinking about how you dug in and some of the other things. You're probably getting a lot of briefing from the animatic.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of, because really that's my main experience with a team and a pipeline where I was working with other animators, so I could see how my colleagues were getting briefed by other directors and I was getting briefed by the director I was working with. And so I think that definitely having the animatic there really helps out with just getting a sense of the whole story. And actually, one thing I wouldn't do at the start and I started doing because I realized it really helped me out was, regardless of the shot I was working on, it would really help out to watch the whole episode, like the animatic for the whole episode, because it would really give me an idea of the pacing of the whole thing and what that shot in isolation meant in the whole episode. So I'd probably say that was one of the things that I started doing to help me out. But in terms of briefing, I mean, as an animator, I think we're all quite visual people. So one thing that would help me out quite a lot was sitting down with the director of that episode and having him sort of sketch out his ideas of what he wanted for the shot. So the brief would already be in the shot, whether this be by just sketches or little things he would note down. But actually sitting down next to him and him talking me through things he had drawn on the shot was super useful and made me really understand what kind of thing he was looking for, whether that was pacing or whether that was like the emotion or the acting or the facial expressions to push in one part of the shot or the other. So yeah, I would probably say that.
And Christian, what about you? What's your experience of briefs, and how do you? I mean, I know. Well, I gather all three of you are kind of working remotely, but a lot of the times you probably don't get opportunities to sit down next to somebody anymore. But what's your experience now, and what do you like?
I agree. I think clarity is very important, and if it's been done with a good, clear animatic and storyboard, even better. I think as a bonus, I think it's nice if when you're getting direction, that the director is also open to any ideas that you might have, because I think that's quite important. It's a cooperative, thing we're trying to do, and I think it's good for animators to feel like they can still contribute a little bit of their own ideas into something, but providing it's gone with the director's approval. But I like that two-way feedback. I think that's good. You've got to have this collaboration, doing this kind of thing. So to have, just to have somebody going, this is what I want, this is how I want you to do it, and there's no flexibility, I don't think that's a great idea. Because it kind of stifles the people who are doing this. We are all in a creative industry, so I think you need to have a little bit of give and take on it. But yeah, if the director knows what they want and are happy to discuss ideas, I think that's the best thing.
So, of course, we have to ask this terrible question. Do you feel that the advent of AI will completely replace animation, or will there always be a place for human hands-on creativity in the overall process?
I don't think it can replace it. I seriously, what I've seen so far, some of it's incredible quality to look at. You're like, yeah, that's really good, but it's all taken from somewhere else. There's no idea being put down visually that hasn't been anywhere else. And I think humans generally crave that human creativity. I don't think it's ever going to disappear. I think we will be valued more, possibly. There'll be less of us, but The ones that the ones that survive will be the Uber.
That sounds really ominous. Yeah, there will be less of us, of course. What's he saying?
It's scary, but we're not going anywhere. You can't make us.
Yeah, it's such a tricky topic, isn't it? Like, yeah, it's very hard to discuss because there's going to be all sorts of opinions, and it's a very scary monster that's coming for us. But I think, ever since I've started in the industry, AI has always been around for me. So it's something that I've constantly known. And I think at the moment it's novelty and people are excited about it. And I think everyone wants to have a go and sort of see what it's like. But I feel and I really want to believe that it will wear off and people will get bored of it and just will want like the human touch to things, because that's what makes animation special. It's how hardy it is, and that's what attracts people to even stop motion films, because that's something that's been around for ages and people are still interested in it. So I think, they can't get rid of us. They really can't. And we represent so much in our industry that will have to stick around, whether they want it or not. And I think even us in our own industry, if we really try and consume as much hand-drawn animation or even any other sorts of media, we'll be absolutely fine. And something that I myself have been trying to do with friends is just doing more hand-drawn things in general. I've been trying to get into like pottery, going outside and drawing, going to museums, drawing, and just really making physical, tactical things. That's making me feel safer and more connected with, the real world. So I think doing things like that is giving me a bit more hope that we will be fine at the end of the day.
I don't think AI is going to take over. At the moment, I think we're at that sort of juncture where I think if you are a director, you're not going to favor AI because you all want people involved. And you want that creativity coming from them. You want that human interaction. I think it's the people who are in charge of budgets, and I get it. They want to save money or they want to get as much from the budget they've got. They are possibly maybe not thinking how AI can be best used. So they might be saying, but we can do all this, we can get something animated, we can do all that. And it's like, no, you take it back. It's a tool. Use it as such. I mean, if you're a small production and you really don't have much money, it can help maybe do a foundation for character designs. Not actual character design, but maybe say, oh, I like that. Maybe I can embellish on it. Or you can get it to design textures for 3D or even, just basic models. It can help speed up some aspects of it if, like, say, you're really small. And I think you've got to, the genie's out of the bottle. You can't put it back in now. It's here. So I think we've just got to find a way of incorporating it into a work practice that doesn't, take away from, the human aspect of it. And I don't think it's going to.
I know in Illustrator they've sort of pushed out there that they've got this tool that can turn a character around, which, from doing shows, 2D shows, obviously doing one of those turnarounds is quite a, it's quite a labor-intensive thing. What are all your perspectives on those sort of tools? There's sort of embedded tools that we're now finding probably in all of the Adobe family of tools, and I'm sure other ones as well.
We do use them daily without even realizing it for a bit. Like After Effects, I use Roto quite a bit, which used to be more drawing a line around the object and things, but now it's literally a stroke of the pen and it does a fairly good job. I used it yesterday to put a seals flipper in front of some text. And things like that I use pretty much day to day. And that's a tool that it may take away jobs at the high end of things, if you're talking feature film kind of levels, but I was going to be doing that myself anyway, and it's just saved a little bit of time. So I do it. I grit my teeth and do it, and I also use it a little bit for cleaning up audio and things like that. I'm something of a one-man band for most of the things I do, so little bits like that I maybe don't have people with the expertise in my field or the budget to do that. I'm okay with using in those senses. The turnaround thing, I haven't seen a good use of it yet. But yeah, I mean, it's early days on it, so we shall see.
Yeah, my experience so far has been what you mentioned, just sort of like I haven't used it, but I've seen generative fill on Photoshop or the turnaround tool on Illustrator. I don't really tend to use those just because it's just not something that I use in my workflow normally. I would be open to try it out because honestly, I think my real problem with AI is just that as it is now, it's unethical, or the way it's used, it's unethical. There's absolutely no laws protecting artists or anything of that sort. And that's really my problem. But I think, as Christian said, if it's being used as a tool and if it helps our workflow and it's not damaging anyone's work, and you're not stealing from anyone, if it's done right, I don't really see a problem with it if it's done on a small scale. But if it's this huge company that does have a budget to hire artists and is choosing to actively use AI to replace them, then I think it's something that has to, someone has to rethink it a bit.
Well, I guess in a way I've been doing it for years because, with all the computer software now, a lot of them come with automatic in-betweening if you wanted it. And it's a little bit like, like I say, a generative turnaround. It does about 50 to 60% of the job, but you've still got to go in and fix it or tweak it, or, I don't like where that arm's gone. And it's the same with if you make an automatic in between, you've still got to go in there, put a bit of weight on it, put a bit of an arc, and stuff like that. So it's again, if you use it right, it's fine. And like I say, I think Beatrice made a good point, and Gareth as well. If you are a solo, operative, and you're doing a project only on yourself, sometimes these things can just help you just do things you're not comfortable getting done. And it's again, it's fine if you're a small guy, but yeah, I agree. If you're a big studio and you're just spending all this money on these automated processes, ultimately it's going to make the end product look weak anyway, because I don't think it's going to have that life that you can see in projects. You could, if you would have a Disney traditional film versus one of these, AI films, you're going to instantly see that it's going to be a lot of rubbish. There won't be the timing. There won't be the pizzazz. There won't be the soul that you'll see coming out.
Yeah, it is something that we had to bring up because but we know, I think it's good to hear all your views on that and just saying, boy, no, I mean that there are so many negative voices in the industry, and you see it online and everyone's going, oh, it's the end of all things, but you are treating it in the way that it should actually be treated. And yeah, as you said, Beatrice, everyone's very excited and it's a brand new thing. And yeah, oh, we can do this. Yeah, look what we can do this. And so, yeah, when everybody calms down, you say, okay, so how do we do this properly so it doesn't look uncanny valley and a little bit weird and freaky and something that will last longer than 12 seconds and still look good? Actually tell a story, because that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for slick and hands for feet and all that nonsense. But yeah, it's good to hear that you remain positive that we shall not be defeated.
Well, that sort of does lead us to the next question, I think, Stuart, doesn't it? Would you like to stay as an animator, or would you like to move to another position in the process?
It was a while back where I was a lead animator in a company, and we were talking progression at the time, and they were saying, well, do you want to move up, step away from the animation side? And I was like, absolutely not. I'll move up, yeah, but I'm not stopping animating. I don't think I can.
And Beatrice, what about you? You're more at the beginning of your career compared to perhaps myself or maybe Stuart. So perhaps it'll be interesting to see where you think things might develop for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've only just started. So in animation, I've only been working as an animator for 3 years. And so it's super, super fresh. And I've really been enjoying it. And even before I started working in the industry, every time I had an idea, that would have to be translated into animation somehow. So I know that's just something that it naturally comes to me, and I'll always have to do that. But I think when it comes to work, I think I'll always want to stay within the animation industry, like the animation bubble. But I'm very interested in design as well, and I really enjoy like designing, illustrating, creating worlds. So I think if it's not animation per se, I think I'll always stay within that, or maybe skew a bit more towards art direction. But then again, because I'm so new to this, I'm really, really open to just like experience that might come my way, and that might shape the way I think, or I might go in a completely different direction in a few years. Who knows?
Go on, Christian. Where do you see yourself going?
I've been really, really blessed that I have progressed from, I started as an assistant animator to an animator, and I've been lead and senior animators. A couple of years ago, I was working with Lupus on their series that unfortunately I can't discuss because it's not broadcast. But I was an animation director on that, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I want to do more of it. I just found being on the other side really eye-opening, and it was fascinating. And I think, as I say, it taught me so much. I improved in my communication better with the animators. I enjoyed the mentoring side of it as well. And it was just, I loved the, collaboration aspect more, as I was saying earlier, I loved it if an animator had an idea and they talked about it and it's like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Or, yeah, let's try that, let's see how it goes. And it was fascinating. And as much as I like being an animator, and I do, I love the job. I don't know. I think I would like to try directing. I'd like to do another animation directing gig, definitely.
It is fun. It is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is fun. Well, that's all very interesting. Yeah, what really comes through is it's almost like I think one of you did say it's like a vocation. It's like a calling. Once you get it, and you know that it is a great industry, and it's great to be able to work in it, and it is a privilege. I feel still very, very privileged. And I know some of my friends, one of my friends was a policeman. He said, I can't believe that you have for decades got to do a job that you love every single day. Okay, and so as an up and coming and new animator yourself, I'll put this to you first, Beatrice. Any advice for up and coming and novice animators?
I would probably say that because being an animator doesn't have to be, but can be such an isolating job where you're just sat at your desk for hours and hours, and sometimes you don't even speak to anyone for days if you're working from home. I'd say going out and seeing other creatives outside and just like hanging out outside can be such a plus when you're starting out, because it is important to get your work out there. I think it is important to create passion projects and draw all the time, go to life drawing lessons, and keep working on your own things. I think that's super important. And when you come out of uni, you should never ever stop doing that. But I think it is equally as important to really connect with people who are in the same position as you, not necessarily that have just finished uni, but people who are going into animation or just starting out a new creative path. Not only because you get a sense of community, and you can create a really lovely community with people you can grow with in the industry. And that's been something that I had the pleasure of doing with my uni mates. We've all kind of like went into the industry together and supported each other. And it can be really great when you like, referring each other for jobs and stuff like that, which is so motivating. But in general, it just feels less isolating, and you yourself feel more capable when you're putting yourself out there. You feel like you can actually find jobs when you know people in the industry, even if that's just like your uni mates. So I definitely say, like, go out, go to animation events, go to festivals, go to pub hangouts, like drawing hangouts. Even if you don't know anyone, like, you just really have to think that everyone is in similar positions, and people will be shy and it'll be awkward, but everyone will be fine in the end, and it'll be super fun. So yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah, what Beatrice said. I moved down to Wales in 2010, quite rural, and kind of left the industry in terms of people. And I spent about 10 years pretty much hunched over my screen. So when I eventually went out again and saw people, you think I'm odd now. It was a different time. But yeah, definitely keep socializing, keep meeting up with people, keep doing that. And keep in your head that we're all making it up as we go along. There is no kind of nirvana of animation knowledge. We're always learning, and and always honing the craft. Just, keep at it.
I think the one thing I definitely had to learn myself is you've got to develop a thick skin and don't take things personally. But, for example, at Telematch, when I was doing Pond Life, I wasn't doing great on it. I was struggling quite a bit because I was finding traditional drawing quite hard. And Dave did make the right decision to put me as an assistant. And I think I learned so much more with him doing that. It benefited me in the long run. At the time, I was crushed. But I look back at it and I know it was the right call. But you can't take it personally. I know you guys mentioned this on another episode you did a while ago, that you've got to do what's right for the project. It's not personal, and it is, you just want to make everything right on the project. So you are going to get scenes that are cut. You are going to get scenes that are torn apart. It's not personal. And you learn, and it's like, as Gareth and Beatrice said, never stop learning. You are always going to be getting something new introduced to your mind, and you've got to go, I like that. I'm going to try that in my work now.
The key here, I think, for up and coming animators in experience of what I've seen at studios with brand new animators straight out of college, is to know that you are bringing life to it. You are not just making it move. You are bringing, and I'll raise this huge tome up to the screen. It's the illusion of life. Our Bible, Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson, and I ate this so many times. You take that and you know what matters. It's not just, we're not just making moving wallpaper where things just, no, we are bringing things to life. So we come to the very knotty problem, the very knotty question, the very important questions we're getting to now. Okay, so brace yourselves. Okay, I've got the big book out. Go on, ask the first question, David.
Gareth, can you tell us, do you like tea or coffee?
Coffee in the morning in a bucket, tea in the afternoon, not after 3:30. Otherwise, late night accents like that.
Go on, Christian, tea or coffee? What do you prefer?
Predominantly, I'm a coffee guy, but every now and then I will, make a cup of tea, and like what Gareth said, I'll only up to about 3 or 4 o'clock.
Beatrice.
Well, I'm going to say something very controversial, probably. Before I moved to the UK, I did not like tea, any tea at all. I only drank coffee, but I've learned to like tea, and I really like tea now. But I still only drink coffee, really. But every now and then a tea is nice, and I probably do like an English breakfast with a little bit of milk.
And as a follow-up, we have one answer only to this. Your favourite thing on toast?
Well, Welsh rarebit.
Of course. Why did I even bother asking? Goodness sake, should have known.
Butter and cheese.
Big votes for cheese. I'm very surprised here.
Yes.
Not surprised with Gareth, obviously, but yeah, Beatrice. Come on, Christian, get us out of the hole here.
Got to be Marmite.
And cheese?
No. No.
Drop the cheese, Gareth. Goodness
Never.
sake.
Thanks to our wonderful guests here. Thank you to Gareth Axford. Thank you to Beatriz Antunes and Christian Chessell. So thank you very much for joining us and discussing and talking about your experiences and wonderful work as animators.
Thank
you.
Yeah, been amazing always through the years and especially today. And for the audience, hopefully that's given you a little insight into what it takes to be a professional animator. So please like and subscribe. And remember, David, that we are not saving lives.
It's just a cartoon.
See you next
time.